I said, just remember one thing. You'll never be a great player unless you play very well internationally.
The Open, after he started to make his appearances, really moved forward.
He played this incredibly bold game, went for everything.
I mean, he was the swashbuckling hero of golf.
He believed he could do anything, and he could.
For all the titles, all the championships, all the success, across an ocean, in a land where the modern game melds with its ancient roots, Arnold Palmer's legacy at the Open Championship will always be centered around something much simpler, but just as significant. He played.
The pros prior to 60, they would never go because the money wasn't very good, the travel was a pain, the food wasn't great.
When Snead won the British Open, the one presenting the claret jug and the check said, "Now, Mr. Snead, you've won the British Open. No doubt you'll be back next year to defend your title." And he says, "You gotta be kidding. It cost me $2,000 to come and play, and you give me a check for $600. He didn't go back.
He made his debut in the midst of his greatest season, 1960. After wins at the Masters and US Open, St. Andrews was beckoning. And on the way over with his friend writer Bob Drum, an idea was hatched that only amplified his intentions.
And I said, you know, it would be great if we had the 4 major championships all in the professional ranks. We could call it the Grand Slam. That week, Bob Drum wrote the story. That's when it became what it did.
My memories of Arnold go back to when I was a boy, and Arnold came to play in the Open Championship in 1960. Huge reputation came before him. He'd already won the Masters and the US Open, so there was a, is he going to win them all kind of thing.
Palmer's best move that year might have come before he hit a single ball, hiring a descendant of a 19th century Open champion.
Arnold Palmer's caddy was called Tip Anderson. He was St. Andrews born and bred. He worked for him that week at St. Andrews, and it was a relationship that lasted 35 years.
We're not in bad shape there after all.
Tip was invaluable, probably the best caddy that ever caddied at St. Andrews. He knew every nook and turn on the golf course.
The Centenary Open is working up to a tremendous climax. It seems at the moment that it must be between Palmer, Nagel, and Vincenzo.
Palmer arrived at the 72nd hole, trailing Australian Kel Nagel by 2 shots.
Look at that, look at that. Here is a very, very great golfer indeed.
Birdie would pull him within 1.
It's right in the middle.
But 2 clutch pars by Nagel on 17 and 18 would deny Palmer the championship. Still, there was no doubt a love affair had begun between the British fans and the American star.
I remember very well when we first saw Arnold Palmer playing in the championship. It was very exciting. He looked muscular. He smoked cigarettes. He didn't smoke them. He just sort of inhaled once and the ash appeared. I don't know, there was something romantic and wonderful about it all.
After his near miss in 60, Palmer was more determined than ever to win the Open, and he returned in 61 to play the championship at Royal Birkdale in Southport, England.
The weather was awful, and it was raining and it was cold.
They were probably the better conditions that they've ever played around in the Open Championship.
Palmer nonetheless took the lead with a 3rd round 69. By the 15th hole of the final round, he was up 2. And then hit a drive that landed in a seemingly impossible lie. Impossible, that is, to everyone but the man who had to play it.
I was fortunate enough to witness one of the most remarkable golf shots in that Open. Arnold Palmer took out a 6-iron and then removed about 3 feet of turf and many people thought that that was the shot that really won him the Open.
Arnold Palmer is the new British Open champion.
He was the first American to hoist the claret jug since Ben Hogan, the culmination of a different kind of mission he'd set out to conquer. Still, the distinctive charm of the Open had hooked him, and he returned in 1962. The championship at Troon that year was never in doubt. Palmer grabbed the lead in the second round on Thursday and expanded it in the final 2 rounds on Friday. On 18, the runaway winner, American superstar in Scotland, was mobbed on the fairway.
Well, we can't find the golfers.
The fans were bypassing the pay gates. They were running onto the course.
The police of Troon having a terrible time right now. But I still see Palmer no place. Here he comes, he made it.
They were just so desperate to see this man who had become their golfing hero.
Hello. And he made it. Arnold Palmer breaks the record for the British Open by 2 shots with a total of 276.
Okay, well, again, congratulations, Arnold, on what, as I said, and I'm sure everybody would agree, you were 4 of the finest rounds of golf ever put together. Thank you.
To have come here in 1960 and played in this championship, and to see what I saw then, and to see what I have seen over the years, has been a fantastic pleasure. This championship is one that I came to because I thought it was the most revered championship in the world. I still think that. Thank you very much.
He played the Open Championship for the last time in 1995 at St. Andrews.
The way the crowd reacted to Arnold on the Swilcan Bridge was unparalleled, really.
I went out to the back of the 18th green to see him coming up the 18th. I was joined by a lot of the other players. Nick Fowler came back, and he was standing there waiting for him to come in.
Very emotional to see a man, walk his final steps on a championship golf course.
The back-to-back victories at Royal Birkdale and Troon were among Arnold Palmer's greatest achievements. But they were also just the embellishment of his legacy at the Open Championship, a legacy with a significance he created by deciding that golf's oldest test needed to be a fundamental piece of its present and its future.
If Arnold hadn't come, who knows where the Open would have been. It was a quiet little thing.
He was the person who revived interest in the Open Golf Championship.
Jack Nicholson, Sabina Miller,
Champion Golfer of the Year. Tom Watson.
I think he created a relationship between the Open Championship and the American golf fan that's been carried on until today.
Sunday to remember.
The Open owes Arnold a great debt that it probably can never repay.
It was the third of the championships he'd himself designated as the events that should define a golfer's career.